U.S. Marines at their breaking point, being asked to do more with less. Long wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, the fight against ISIS, budget cuts, all taking a toll on the U.S. Marine Corps, forcing fighter jets and helicopters to break down, losing valuable hours in the air to train, and according to the Marines and military analysts, putting our nation at risk. National Security Correspondent Jennifer Griffin traveled down to 2 Marine Corps air stations to receive an exclusive first-hand look at how America's military appears to be breaking.
This is when the landing gear door came off, this is the hole that it made in the intake on its way down to the engine.
Marine Major Mike Malone is a maintenance officer for a squadron of F-18 Hornets preparing to deploy into combat overseas. This particular jet bombed Muammar Gaddafi's compound in Libya in 1986, 30 years ago today. It's still flying. Recently, when the Marines needed a part for this plane, they tried to cannibalize the hinge from a museum jet on display on the USS Yorktown.
It's very, very old to be flying for an aircraft. These aircraft were designed to fly for 6,000 hours.
The Marines are extending them to fly 8,000. Budget cuts that reduced the force to 30,000 fewer Marines and wars that were supposed to end but didn't are making it harder to patch these old planes together.
Imagine taking like a 1995 Cadillac and trying to make it a Ferrari. You're trying to make it faster, more efficient, but it's still an old airframe, so the aircraft is constantly breaking.
The Marines that we don't have enough of them to do the added work.
Sometimes it takes the Marines 18 months to get parts for these early model F-18 jets whose production was halted in 2001. This F-18 has to deploy again in July.
Colonel, where are the wings to this plane?
Yeah, that's a good question. They're on other jets.
Colonel Harry Thomas, call sign Crash, deployed to the Pacific with 10 jets last year. Only 7 made it. A fuel leak caused his F-18 to catch fire in Guam. Instead of ejecting, he landed safely, saving taxpayers $29 million. Back home in Beaufort, South Carolina, skin cracks forced this F-18 into a hangar.
We don't know where the engines are. They're in another airplane somewhere.
So basically you had to cannibalize this plane to get other squadrons airborne?
Yes, ma'am.
Will this plane ever fly again?
Yeah, we plan to have it flying by the summer.
Colonel Crash Thomas has deployed 6 times to Iraq and Afghanistan. Right now, only 2 of his 14 planes can fly. His Marines deploy in 3 months.
We're an operational squadron. We're supposed to be flying jets, not building them.
Most frustrating is that his pilots aren't getting the flying hours they need. Training time in the air is down more than 50%.
And you're supposed to have 15 hours per month, right?
Yep. This last 30 days, our average flight time per pilot was just over 4 hours.
What do you think is causing this sort of backlog?
Money. I mean, everything goes back to funding. U.S.
military spending has declined from nearly $700 billion in 2010 to $560 billion last year. Automatic spending cuts began in 2011. Delays in the state-of-the-art Joint Strike Fighter, which is slated to replace the F-18, but has been plagued by cost overruns, leading to a perfect storm. Many highly trained mechanics left for jobs in the private sector.
Quite honestly, it is coming on the backs of our young Marines. So, my Marines over there are the ones who are working 20 to 21 hours a day to get them ready to go on deployment. And the likelihood of a ground mishap or them making a mistake late at night and the pressure to perform is really where I see the bigger safety risk.
Commanders who I've spoken to say they are seeing an unprecedented level of stress on the force. You can see it in the faces of the pilots, but especially in the faces of the maintainers.
We have to get the aircraft in the air for the troops in combat.
Here in New River, North Carolina, Colonel Sean Saline oversees 9 helicopter squadrons, including these CH-53 Super Stallions, the workhorses of the Marine Corps in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Unlike previous wars, we didn't have a period of time afterwards where we didn't have tasking. There was no time to catch our breath.
Of these 147 helicopters, only 42 can fly right now. Just 27% of these Super Stallions are mission capable.
So you can really see how much stuff is in here and how easy it would be to miss some small minute detail, a small amount of wear that could eventually potentially cause a fire.
Lieutenant General Dog Davis ordered the Marine Corps to refurbish all of these old CH-53 helicopters to their pre-war condition, fixing the chafing wires and jerry-rigged fuel lines that were repaired in theater to keep these birds flying. Davis oversees Marine Corps aviation and is losing sleep over it. He has 2 sons who are Marine pilots.
The biggest thing is right now, after 15 years of hard service and hard fighting and deploying around the world, we don't have enough airplanes in the flight line to make sure that the Marines are ready to go and go out the door.
Are you losing guys from exhaustion?
Absolutely. I mean, there's only so much you can look a young Marine in the eye and at some point say, hey, I want you to do one more for America and apple pie, and at some point, that gets old.
Pablo Brown's squadron deploys to the Middle East in the coming days. At Marine Corps Air Station, Beaufort, South Carolina, Jennifer Griffin, Fox News.
And late this afternoon, the Chief of Navy Operations says that they are working on this and, quote, increasing the budget on maintenance. We will continue to follow this story.